And good morning, good morning, good morning. It's whatever it is, the date. Is it the 9th? Could it be the 9th of April? It was the 7th on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 9th. It is the 9th of April this morning. Good morning, everybody. I always like to sort of mutter around a bit at the beginning because we never know who's in. We never know how long it takes people to come in. But here we are. And so before we begin, I would like to say good morning, as always, to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is, as always, standing to my right side. And I'd like to say good morning to Chris. Where are you, Chris? Are you in Vermont?
I am in Vermont. We have a very, very rainy day here today.
Oh, is it cold?
It is cold, so we're lucky it's not snow.
Well, if it makes you feel better, it's 74 degrees here, which is cool for Florida, but it's lovely. The sun is shining. It is breezy. You do need to sort of wear long sleeves. It's funny, really, because, 74. When I lived in England all those years and years and years ago, um, if ever the temperature got to 70, we were having a heat wave. And I'm serious because, generally speaking, if you got to sort of let's say 60, 66, 67, that was the height of summer for us in England in those days. If it got to 70, everybody was out in the sunshine. It was really warm. You were getting a suntan, etc., etc. You're wearing sundresses. It was great. Now here we are in Florida, and of course my whole system, my blood is so used to the warm weather that now when it's, here it is at 74, and I think back to when I was a teenager, if it was 74, we'd be, oh gosh, it's so hot and we need rain and all of that stuff. And here I am saying, and we really need to wear long sleeves. Or longer sleeves. I've got 3/4 sleeves on this morning, but we need to long sleeves because it's a little bit chilly when you're out. But anyway, so it's all relative, isn't it, to what you're used to. Um, and I think that when people live in Vermont or they live in colder climates and they come to Florida, even when it's chilly at 74 degrees, I think you would think it was really warm, wouldn't you, Chris? I mean,
I
wouldn't you think
absolutely would. I'd be like,
you'd be
could you turn on the air conditioning?
You'd be, well, the thing is, I had no air conditioning on last night. I did have the fan on, but I had no air conditioning. And, I'm going to be opening the windows, and I didn't open the windows. I'm not going to open the windows until after the show because, although we don't get very much traffic here, we don't want to hear, you know, the dog barking, the kid crying, or whatever else is going on. Not that they do a lot of that here as well. It's very quiet where I live. So, um, I'm going to be letting the breezes in. The breezes from the lake will be coming in this afternoon. Oh, it's going to be gorgeous, and I might do a little cooking as well. It depends. It really depends on the mood I'm in. Isn't that nice for me? I can just choose today, on the mood I'm in, what I'm going to do. We'd love to know what all of you are doing today. Does anyone of you, do you have anything exciting? Are you going to be out and about? It is the start of Easter, and it's tomorrow is Palm Sunday. When I was a kid and used to go to Sunday school, we would always recognize Palm Sunday. And for those of you who are not Christian, and for those of you who are, did you know that Christianity is one of the minority religions in the world? Don't shoot the messenger. It happens to be so. Um, so I know there are a lot of people in the world with many, I hate to use the word religion, but I will use it, religious beliefs. You're saying, why don't you like to use the word religion? Well, because I think it's the most misused word in the dictionary, because when everybody uses it, it means something different to everybody. But when I was a kid, let's go back to my days in my wonderful, amazing, and fabulous Baptist church, the Church of Christ that I belong to. We would always celebrate Palm Sunday because, for those of you who don't know, Palm Sunday is the day when Jesus rode his donkey into Was it Nazareth, Chris?
I was
I
thinking
think it might have been.
Jerusalem.
Was it Jerusalem? Do you know, you're right. Was it? Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, so see, I've forgotten the lesson already. Anyway, he rode his donkey, and the story goes that many people put palm leaves down uh, on the road as he was walking through Jerusalem. They put palm leaves down so that his donkey could walk on the palm leaves. Um, and it was a big, big deal. It sort of is the beginning of, some people would say it's the beginning of the end. Some people would say it's beginning of the time when Christ was then a few days later crucified, and when he rose from the dead. My grandson had a very interesting question for me the other day. He said, Moses, do you think that Jesus really rose from the dead? Can you actually rise if you're dead? Can you magically wake up? And so I explained to him that well, actually we don't die. And he knows that. So I had to put it in context a little bit for him as to what happened and how some people did see Christ after he was crucified. Did they see him, do you think? Did they see him as I would see him? Did they see him, let's say, psychically? Or did he rise from the grave to become flesh and blood? And I tend to think it's that there were certain people who saw him psychically. Doubting Thomas, he met Doubting Thomas on the road. Do you remember this, Chris? I don't know why we're talking about this, but well, I do, because it's Palm Sunday tomorrow. He met Doubting Thomas on the road, and Thomas said, no, it can't be you because you're dead. And so Jesus held out his hands and showed Doubting Thomas the holes in his hands where he had been nailed to the cross. And there are lots and lots of stories around this time, and in every religion and in every belief that we have, that people have their wonderful beliefs. They're all based. They all have stories. They're all surrounded by wonderful stories and often miraculous stories. And I think that the story of Christ is one of those miraculous events and a miraculous story. And I'm so grateful that I am a part of that, excuse me, that Christian belief. But I also understand other people have their beliefs too. So I don't think that we need to negate one belief. And I'm not saying to you my belief is the right one. I'm saying that there are many different beliefs, many different belief systems. And why wouldn't they all be founded on truth? Why wouldn't they all have truth attached to them? Why wouldn't they? Anyway, so Chris, how are we doing? Have we got a few people on yet?
Yes, we do. Absolutely. And we have our regulars, and I'm seeing some new names on our chat list. So I'm really happy to say hello to the new people.
Okay, so do we have any comments or questions before we go into our, because look, it's story time today, and I do have a story for you all. We'll see how you do with it. But does anybody have a comment or a question before we begin, Chris?
Well, you had asked what are people doing for the weekend, and Mark said, I'm going to begin building my balance art rock cairns. I call my Stonehenge. I have 5 so far.
Oh, nice. Ooh, that sounds interesting. You need to tell us more about that, or send us photos or something. Anyone else, Chris?
Eric's on his way to work. Maggie's on her way home from the hospital. Hakeem's saying it's sunny in Miami.
Yeah, well, it's sunny here too. You know, Miami's not that far away. You know that, right? All right, so let's do our story time. So once upon a time, many years ago. Remember, so I'm such an old lady now. Remember, we're going back in time. It's a bit like listening to your grandmother or your great grandmother who tells you, when I was a child or when I was young. We're not going back that far, but anyway, we're going back to a time when I was in Egypt, and I had been with a friend to the Great Pyramids at Giza, and which is just outside of Cairo, just on the edge of Cairo, and we'd gone into the biggest of these pyramids, and I think I've told you the story before. I'll briefly tell you it again because I don't quite know what I expected going into the pyramids, but I don't know if any of you have heard of the power of the pyramids, the way that the pyramids are built, the dimensions of the pyramids. And it has been proven again and again and again, sort of in our modern times and in laboratories and using different experiments, it has been proven that if you build, even if it's a teeny little mini pyramid, if you build it to the exact dimensions of the pyramids at Giza, or any of the pyramids, I suppose, if you build it to the exact dimensions, and sort of even if it's smaller, then there is such power within there, and you can. One of the experiments, well, a couple of the experiments that I've heard of, which are based on, let's say, scientific fact. Well, we've got to accept that then. If you built a pyramid, for instance, and you then hung it above, let's say, a piece of cheese or a razor blade or whatever it is that you wanted, it will stay fresh. The razor blade will stay sharp, not just for, you can take it out, you can take the razor blade out, you can use it to shave, and you can put it back in the center of the pyramid, and it will never, ever go blunt or rusty or anything. A piece of cheese will stay under there. And this is why I think they used to put the pharaohs in the tombs there. The important people used to go into the pyramids, because there is some sort of, not just the embalming process, but there's something about the power of the pyramid which actually helps to preserve any matter, not necessarily flesh, but any matter. It helps to preserve it. So there's a lot of power within the pyramid. And this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to go inside the pyramid, because I wanted to really, really experience the power that was within. I was pretty sure that I would feel something, that some kind of energy or something going on that was really special, and I was so excited to go into the pyramid. And it was a sort of an odd thing to do, because you think that, you go high up, you walk in a door, and there you're in the center of the pyramid, and that's not how it is at all. They've got these sort of very narrow passageways. You go up the passageway. Now, you can't walk up the passageway, you almost have to climb, because you have to bend over. And these are very narrow passageways that barely take two people side by side. You have to really, if you're going up and somebody's coming down, you've got to squeeze past each other. So it's very, very tiny spaces. And there are some sort of slats that go up that help you to grip so that you can climb up, and a little bit like a ladder sort of thing. But as you're going up, you're also going in. So you go up for a ways, and then you come to a little space, a little landing, and then you move to the left or the right, depending, and there's another thing. And all the time you're climbing up, because these pyramids are enormous. Let me tell you, they're enormous. So you're going up, and at the same time you're going in, until you reach the very center, the very heart of the pyramid. And I don't know what I was expecting, but I didn't get what I expected, because you sort of finally you arrive at the center there, and all it is a fairly small room, if you can call it a room. It's sort of concrete walls, concrete floor, and it's like a square. And the a cophagus, I'll get it right in a minute, is sitting right there in the middle. No body in it, of course, you know, that's been removed and probably put in the museum somewhere or another. But this is where, you know, the king or the pharaoh or whatever it is, or the prince, of important person, whoever it was who was in there, because the pyramids are the resting place of the whoever it is, the let's say the king or the pharaoh of the time. And it's an amazing thing because the walls are bare, they're sort of darkish, muddy looking color. So, you know, there's nothing to see. There's a sort of what appears to be a concrete sarcophagus that's in the middle. The one that I saw was sort of, the sides were a little bit broken on it. I suppose they damaged it when they actually found and took out the king, who would have then been wrapped in he would have been embalmed and wrapped and all of that stuff. Anyway, so here I am, and I've arrived, and there are one or two other people in this room as well, strangers to me. But what I tried to do was I tried to walk all the way around the room. As I say, it's a small room, but I put my hands on the walls and I'm walking around, and of course I've got Greg by my side, and I'm sure I'm going to feel something. I'm sure I'm going to, you know, the power of this place, you know, the years, you know, the atmosphere. There's got to be something there, right? Nothing. Nothing. I feel nothing. There's nothing. I'm thinking, I've waited for this for so long, and I'm so sure that I would feel something, or I would have an experience or something, anything at all. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I'm walking around. I'm trying to be quiet, even though there are two or three other people in the room, and they're being quiet as well. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm trying to sense. I'm trying to be aware. I'm trying to sort of, you know, raise my level of consciousness to a place where I kind of feels there's got to be something in here. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So after a while, I gave up and I said, okay, then, well, I guess that was a waste of time. And I was so disappointed. And I remember walking back, going back down these narrow tunnels, you had to walk backwards down them and crouching very low because, you know, they were very narrow, and, you know, you couldn't stand up at all. In fact, even when you were crouching, you could sometimes feel the roof of the passageway sort of brushing on your back. So you're sort of crouching really low and going down. And I finally come to the, you know, to the last one, and I can see the doorway and the sun outside, and you can see all the people walking outside. And I remember sort of as I come to the entrance, and now I can stand and now I'm walking, I can remember saying to Grey Eagle, well, you know, I was a bit disgruntled. That's a bit disappointing. Well, what was that about? What was that all about? And I saw a fist raised up against me, not against me, in front of me. And the word power in probably that high letters. And at the same time, I hear Grey Eagle say, power. So I was given the power sign, the black power sign symbol. I was shown the letters power, and I heard Grey Eagle say power, and I'm still disgruntled because I don't feel anything. So I went out into the sunshine, and the rest of the day was just not an ordinary day, but I mean, I did sightsee and I did go to different places, but my disappointment with the pyramids was great, because I really had thought, you know, they're so ancient and so spiritual and used for such a spiritual and amazing reason. Why wouldn't I feel something? Anyway, so that night, staying in this room of a friend's, I'm staying at a friend's apartment, and in our bedroom there are two beds. I'm staying with my friend who's sleeping in one bed, and I'm sleeping in the other bed, two single beds. The curtains were drawn, except there was a gap in the curtains, and there was a street light outside, so you could, it was never quite really dark in that room. You could see the street light, and you could see this at night time. If you got up to pee or anything, you could, you could sort of easily find your way to the bathroom, because there was this light that sort of came through from the street light outside. So the room wasn't totally dark. So, and there's a bedside table between the two beds. So I go to bed that night, I go to sleep, still a bit disgruntled, still a bit, I'm so disappointed, Anyway, so I go to sleep, don't think any more about it, and I get up in the middle of the night, which I ought 99% of the time, even since I was little, I've always got up to pee. It's my kidney thing, Anyway, so I get up out of bed, and I'm thinking now to make, I'm not moved yet, but I'm out of bed, and I can't remember getting out of bed, but I'm standing in the middle of the room between these two beds. My friend is sleeping in the bed, on the other side of the room, and I'm standing there, and I can see, because the street light, and I'm thinking, and I'm sort of a bit befuddled, a bit bemused. What am I doing out of bed? Because at this point, I don't feel like I need to pee. So I'm thinking, what am I doing out of bed? So I turn my head as if to climb back into bed. And it's then when I see my body in bed. I turn my head, and I'm looking at myself lying in bed, sound asleep. And I realize, my first thought, here is what I say to myself, is my first thought, this is what it must be like to be dead. What am I doing? What am I doing? Where am I going? What am I doing now? As soon as I had the thought, where am I going? I felt myself moving, although when I say I felt myself moving, in retrospect, I realized that I felt myself moving. But in that moment, I didn't feel, or I wasn't aware that I was moving anywhere. I found myself in a room filled with people, and it was a party. Obviously, there were people drinking, there were people laughing, there were people having fun. It was just a fantastic atmosphere. And I looked down at myself, and I was wearing, and see, this is where it gets weird, everybody. I was wearing a white dress. I remember standing, looking at all these people, thinking, I didn't recognize any of them, but they were definitely at a party. Who are they? What am I doing here? Why am I here? And at that point in time, I looked down and I realized that I'm wearing this beautiful dress. It's a long dress with a sort of like a halter neck, and I'm all dressed up, wearing this white dress. And then, to my absolute horror, I realized, I looked down, and on the skirt of the dress is a little black stain, like a little black ink mark on the dress. And I think, what's going on? And then I look back, and I see all of these people, and I listen to the hustle and bustle, and I hear the noise of the people, and not one of them is speaking to me. Can they see me, do you think? It seems, or it seemed then, that they couldn't. Maybe I was a ghost in their midst. Maybe I was wearing the white dress, but it was just my aura or my energy. Very often when we see ghosts, we see them as white, don't we? We see them, we see their aura, we see their energy, which is white. Am I a ghost? Am I a ghost standing in the middle of this party? What's going on here? And then I felt myself moving again and traveling through time and space. And that was my first experience of being out of my body and realizing that I was out of my body. It's an odd thing, but I knew afterwards, not at the time, but I knew afterwards that somehow or another, when I'd been in that pyramid and when I'd been told by Great Eagle and I'd been shown the symbol, the power sign symbol, I knew that somehow going into that pyramid had somehow enabled me to elevate my level of consciousness. Somehow or another, I had been able to, I was given or absorbed or something, some kind of power from that experience, which allowed me to elevate my knowing sense. It allowed me to elevate, or perhaps even to dare, to have enough power to dare to not just travel, but to be aware of traveling and to be aware of what was going on and what can go on when you do have these out of body experiences. It was a long time before I had another one of those. Now, at some point, I do not remember climbing back into my body. It's a weird thing, you know. When I think back on it, I was so calm. I'm standing in the middle of that bedroom, and I'm so calm within myself, not at all afraid, not thinking, oh my gosh, I'm dead. Just thinking very calmly, oh, okay, then this is what it must be like to be dead. Um, this is what it must be like when you leave your body. This is what it must be like to be dead. And I remember sort of putting my shoulder behind my head behind me, looking over my shoulder, not moving my entire body, but just looking back into the bed and seeing my figure, my physical body curled up, sound asleep in that bed. And yet there I was, me, the real me, the me that I am, has left that body behind and has had this amazing experience. The power of the pyramid, and somehow it allowed me the one little tiny experience of going into that, the into the pyramid and looking at the sarcophagus and having the experience of well, actually feeling nothing at all really, but yet being told it gives you power. So it helps to elevate, and it helps to, all of these experiences help to raise your level of consciousness to a point where you can dare to fly. So as I've said, that was my first very conscious awareness of being out of my body, without my permission, without me wanting to do it, without me even thinking I could do it. And in fact, if someone had said to me at that time, would you like to come fly with us? I would have said, not likely. I wouldn't have dared. But here I was daring to have that amazing, amazing experience. And that's the end of my story. So the end. So how are we doing, Chris?
Good. Mark had started to write his question in as you were talking here toward the end. Let's see. I love your life stories, especially this one. I've always felt a strong energy when discussions are on this topic. With that, the question for Gray Eagle. Each of us are destined to pass from life. We are many of all kinds of faiths, beliefs, etc., yet all of and created by the power of the holy. Some denominations, all man-made, made rules, and if you don't follow these religious rules, you'll be outed and kicked out. With all who love the Creator, regardless if they followed or didn't follow a man-made religion, see God and be with loved ones, or is there hell to pay?
Is he asking me, is there hell to pay?
He's asking Gray Eagle. If you do not follow man-made rules, religions,
The
is
answer
there?
is, Mark, I think you know the answer, but the answer is no. There is not hell to pay. Although people do pay it. I have a sister who, she was of a particular religious faith, and she would go to church. She was very religious. She prayed at least 3 or 4 times every day. She brought her children up in the way of this particular religion, in the way of this church, and excuse me. And through this church, she met another woman, and they became close friends. I think my sister hadn't had a close woman friend before, so they and neither had this other girl, and they became very, very close friends. And they would, sort of have coffee together. They would pray together every day. They would, they would meet in the mornings, and either at my sister's house or at this girl's house, and they would pray and so on and so forth. And as the months went past, having met this girl, they found that they had feelings for each other. And so feeling that, well, the rules say, and this particular church, one of the rules was, if you're a woman, you cannot wear pants, you can't wear trousers. You've got to dress in a feminine way, and all these rules and regulations. And my sister, I would say, if you're going to use the word religion in its, its most severe form, my sister was a hugely religious person, and you could not see her for 2 or 3 years. And when you walk through the door, the very first thing she'd say to you before she even said hi was, "Did you pray today?" I mean, she was very devout. And we all respected that about her, and we always respected her for that. But here she is now, and she's met this woman who is in a similar situation to her. Husband's in the army, they're away a lot and so on, so they're lonely. Anyway, they go to the church because they feel that, they have feelings for each other, and they don't quite know what to do about it. So they go to their church. They go to the people that they have trusted. They go to those people who absolutely they have followed the rules, follow the regulations, like to the T, to the letter. And so they, try to, they say we've come for help, we've come for guidance, we've come for you to guide us. And the response was immediate from the elders of the church, immediate, like, leave this room, leave our church, and never come back. And no help, no guidance, no nothing, just get out. And my sister was devastated. She was devastated. She went to the people who she trusted to help her and guide her. And consequently, the result of that, they also, this wonderful body of religious people, then took it upon themselves to call the husbands, my sister's husband and the husband of this other woman, to say, these things are going on, which they weren't going on at all at the time. They just had these feelings that they didn't understand, and wanted guidance with them. So both husbands were informed. The whole thing blew up into a major thing, and the consequence was there hell? Not hell from God, but hell from those narrow-minded people who caused so much trouble. And unfortunately, both marriages ended in divorce, and on it goes. Man-made rules you've got to follow your heart. You've got to follow what you think, because just because somebody believes that something is so doesn't mean that it is. Or it might mean that it's so for them, but not necessarily for you. Everybody has their own beliefs. Everybody has their own belief systems. None of us should ever disparage somebody else's belief. You should respect and honor and appreciate that other people don't always think the way you do. They don't always feel the way that you do. It's called tolerance, isn't it? So, from this church that my sister was totally had been going to for years and years, her children had been brought up in this church. She was, it was, she was the embodiment of what a churchgoer, a religious person was, and she was the sort of first hurdle, the first slip of not following their rules. She was actually kicked out, and it devastated her, and had an effect on her for the rest of her life. There, that's it. You just got another story. Did you know that? That was 2 stories you just got today.
There you go. Judith says, I love this story and I plan to visit Egypt as soon as possible. Maybe I'll have an out of body experience
You
if I
never
can
know.
keep my wits about me.
Well, first of all, you don't have to go to Egypt to have an out of body experience. And second of all, if you do go to Egypt, keep your purse very close to you, will you? keep everything as tight as possible to you. Don't, as a friend of mine said, don't go out wearing designer shoes, nice clothes, and just that not doesn't just apply to Egypt. It applies to Italy. Rome is one of the worst pickpocketing places in the world, actually. And Rome is a fantastic place. It's a beautiful place. But yeah, anyway, so just be careful wherever you travel, people. Just be very careful that you don't look like a wealthy tourist, and that you keep your purse close. Keep Chris.
Cheryl says, I love visiting historical locations, although I also was disappointed to feel nothing at the Cahokia Mounds. Some locations just give me goosebumps.
Well, I think I think also when we go to these different places, um, you know, our expectations can be so high, and we know better. I certainly know better than to not to expect anything, to be hopeful. But if you expect people to treat you the way that you treat them, if you expect to be valued by your family, if you expect that your friends are going to be always there for you, if you expect that this hotel that you're going to is going to be an amazing hotel, you can be sorely you can be sorely disappointed, because when you expect, sometimes we expect too much of people, and and sometimes we don't expect too much and we're still disappointed. So be hopeful. If you're going to go to Egypt, my darling, be hopeful, but keep your expectations low, and then you won't be disappointed. And then when something fantastic happens, wow, you'll be blown away. Chris.
Maggie says, the night of my daughter's passing, I couldn't sleep. Then suddenly I felt a small body lying next to me, cuddled up to me. Then I fell asleep. I know it was her giving me comfort or strength to go forward.
Nice. That's fabulous, Maggie. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's fantastic. Keep going, Chris.
Annika says, Rosemary, do you remember where you went from your party and what you saw before you returned into your body?
No, not really. No, I don't actually. I know that I was being whisked off somewhere, but no, I don't remember. I don't remember much after that.
Cheryl says the only out of body experience I can remember was flying over the river, heading toward Niagara Falls, then feeling the water spray in my face as I went up over the falls.
Oh, nice. Did she say the only experience I've had?
Yes.
You know that most people never have those experiences. People are thinking, wow, if only that could happen to me. Okay, keep going, Chris.
Mark says, that's exactly how I feel, and I'm a spiritual man and love the power of God. I know where I am and who I am and love who I am. Thanks, Rosemary and Gray Eagle.
That's great. That's great. I'm curious if we have anybody who was with us yesterday to do um, our exercise, our gentle mental massage exercise, because I'm curious, did anybody do it and how are you feeling having done it? So I'm throwing that out there to you guys as well.
All right. I have no questions in the chat room, which is highly
Oh,
unusual.
okay then. So that's it then. All right.
Well,
Well,
Rosemary, you and I were talking before we went on the show about um, new homes and color schemes and people who move. Um, I don't think people know that you design gardens and houses. Did you want to talk about that?
do I? I can talk about it. Okay, I can talk. Yes, all right. So I have a good friend. I had a good friend years ago who would look at me and say that I was a Renaissance woman. Not quite sure what that means, except that basically it means that I'm able to do so many different things. So I cook. You all know that I cook. I knit. Wait till I show you the sweater that I'm knitting for my grandson. So I don't just knit. I do complicated and intricate kinds of patterns, right, Chris? I mean, I love
Absolutely
I love
stunning.
cables. I love cables and twists and all of that. So I like textures and so on. So I do that, and so since I can remember, I've wallpapered and painted and things, and I was I'm a woodworker. I had a job years and years ago where was a shop fitter, so I would rip up floorboards and lay down floorboards. And I don't just mean lay down planks, people. I mean the tongue and groove stuff where you got to sort of fit things in. So I would sort of fit. I put lay floors and do carpentry, and I loved it. I loved every bit of it. So you see, I'm an all-rounder kind of a person. But what I think a lot of people perhaps don't know is that I also have designed interiors. So you could say that I have done interior design, and also I've designed gardens for many of my friends, and a few for people who were not my friends but I knew reasonably well. So I'm a big, I'm big on decorating and designing and so on. People often come into my home, and how would you describe my home, Chris? Because it's not actually a usual, no, is it a normal house? I'm not sure. What is it? How would you describe my house? Come on, you want me to talk about it? What would you say?
Well, I think I would like to say what most people who come into your house, like the people who come in, to put in your new windows or the ones that, have to come and do work at your place, that they always stand there a minute and they look around and they're like, this is not a Florida house.
It's not any kind of a house, really. It's not. You can't quite put your finger on what it is. Um, and I'm also a nightmare when I do have the window people come in, or when I do have somebody in to fix floors or to do plumbing and so on, because I'm standing behind them, directing them. And the worst thing is when somebody says to me, "Oh well, that can't be done. You can't do that." Yeah, well, actually, yes, you can, and then I have to explain to them how they can do it, and that's happened to me very often in my life, because people think I want complicated things, and I don't. I know what I want. I know what I'm able to do, or what somebody is able to do. If I don't have the strength to do it, and so I stand over my workmen and make sure that they do exactly what I want them to do. Anyway, so Chris and I were talking about interior design, and I find it very interesting, because before I design anything for anyone, I want to know what color schemes they like, and so I actually use sort of the seasons. So are you a spring person, a summer person, a fall person or a winter person, because what the colors that you're drawn to, the colors that make you feel good, and we know that color, every single color is a particular type of energy. Every single color gives off a vibrancy and a certain type of energy. Which energy calls to you? Which color would you wear that makes you feel better, that makes you feel good? And we use colors and color schemes when we're dealing with healing, and we use color a lot. We use a rainbow of colors, and in fact, many of you will know that when we do healing, I teach my students to sing the rainbow song, because we're all about vibration, and different colors give off certain types of vibration. So when you're decorating your house, I think it's really important, when I do it for people, I think it's really important to figure out what vibrational level are they on, and you can do that using these, the spring, summer, winter, fall kind of thing. Because if you look, let's just take fall as just one example. When you see for autumn colors, the fall colors, and you imagine russets and reds and oranges, and you see the sun shining through the leaves. If you've ever seen fall foliage in Vermont particularly, and you see the sun shining through it, so these colors, they glow, they vibrate. The energy of these colors is tremendous. And so a lot of people are drawn to those autumn colors, but a lot of people are drawn to spring colors, the golds, the light greens, the new buds on the trees, the pink blossoms, and so on. That's sort of spring. So a lot of people are drawn to that. So before you start to decorate your house, we think about what energy are you, and what energy would you like to create within you that helps you to raise your level of consciousness. We talked about when I went into the pyramids, and going in there, and the power helped me to raise my level of consciousness. And when you surround yourself with different colors, and different or whatever colors that you wear can make a difference as well. You're building around you this energy, you're infusing yourself with this energy, which helps you to raise your level of consciousness. It helps you to become more aware spiritually, but it also helps you find peace and harmony within your life. And there's nothing worse than walking into a house where the colors scream, this is not a good vibration. This is not a good place to be. I don't like this. This is sort of really off-putting to me. And I think we do that sometimes without even really knowing what we're doing. Of course, I design gardens as well, and it's the same thing. What colors am I going to put with what? How am I going to match things? How am I going to, make shapes of things? And I think shapes are also very important when we're dealing with helping us to raise our level of consciousness. So I was talking to Chris about that this morning. So there you are, Chris. I've talked about it. What else do you want from me?
Well, the big question I have for folks in the chat room is, I suggested that Rosemary do a webinar about this, so that people who are, moving, or, had a life change and they need to pare down, or etc., could get some help to design the place that they live to make it more conducive for what they want. And I'm
or
interested
if you're living in a house already, an apartment or whatever it is, and it's not doing it for you, or every time you're sitting in there and you're feeling depressed, it's not just that life is not going well for you. It's often the fact that what you're surrounding yourself with, and the color schemes, and we're not talking about you spending a fortune on redecorating. If you are depressed, or if you're feeling down, a simple blue scarf put around your neck or over your shoulders, a nice blue shirt, or a simple sort of yellow sweater if you need brightening up. Simple things like that, because it's not just the colors. Remember, every color has a vibrational energy to it. And so, creating your space and making sure that where you are, what you wear, is really going to be helpful to creating the kind of a vibration within you that is conducive to you being able to lift yourself out of the depression, lift yourself out of the gloom, lift yourself up and out of whatever awful situation that you're in. And, just even, even just wearing that little scarf makes a huge difference.
Right. So my big question was if folks in the chat room can let us know, would you be interested? Would you attend a webinar designed to talk about these subjects?
Gosh, well,
That's what I want
I,
to know.
I I can't think that anybody would, but maybe I'm wrong about, because to me it's like you know it's just a natural thing for me. And I do often forget that, and I when people walk into my house, they are often like they have to stop and look, because it's everything connects, everything goes together. It's all sort of, every room follows every other room. But how could you live other than that? But I know people do. But anyway, this is me.
All right.
What
So
can I
answering
say?
your earlier questions, Rosemary,
Yeah,
about did
go
anybody
ahead.
do the gentle mental massage, of which they
Yes.
can find on your YouTube channel if they missed it. Judith says, I did the exercise and loved it. I loved it so much, I went to sleep. I went back to the post and caught up. Loving my body knocked me out. Ha ha.
I like it. I love that. And
Chris
Chris,
says, I
can I just say, you said that people can find it on YouTube. Where would they look for that exercise?
go to Rosemary Altea's YouTube channel.
Okay. Sorry, you were telling me something else.
Yes, Chris says, I did a short mental massage this morning. It was very relaxing and it felt good to honor my body that has worked extremely hard for me over the last 59 years.
Well, good. But this is what I'd like you all to do when you're thinking about this. I want you to remember the phrase gentle mental massage. Because when you say it, and you say it in that way, it puts you in the right frame of mind to give yourself that gentle mental massage. So you've got to learn the phrase. Okay, Chris, keep going.
Rhonda says, I did the gentle mental massage yesterday. I felt great and will continue to do these exercises.
Oh, good. Well, there are more coming. So, hey, get ready for that.
Susan says, Hi, I'm too enthralled to comment right now. I love that.
Well, Susan, no, 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 no. Come on. That's lovely that you say that. I think we think it's lovely, don't we, Chris? but
Yes,
we,
I do.
we, but we loved it. What are you enthralled about, Susan? You know, my
Uh,
second name is Susan. I was called Susan for years and years and years and years. All the way through school, people knew me as Susan. They didn't know me as Rosemary. How about that for an interesting little tidbit?
Hakeem says, I remember seeing a debate with you and James Randi some time ago.
Oh gosh, yes.
I was excited to randomly find your page. Since
Oh,
his
right.
passing, has he ever visited you from the other
Oh God,
side?
no. No, thank you. you know, he can do his thing, but it does make me smile, because I do, I wonder, is he still in denial? But how can you be? he, I've had so many people who have come to me from the spirit world, and they've said things like, I never believed in this stuff. And here I am, you know. Oh, who knew? That sort of thing. So it's always sort of fun. But James Randy, yeah, no. Moving on from there. But thank you for that comment.
Maggie says, I did that too. Speaking what Chris said about giving the gentle mental massage, I thanked my whole body, especially my new hip.
Oh, good. Oh, we're so happy. Good.
Barb says, Rosemary, I did do the exercise with you yesterday. I found a great deal of comfort and will continue to do this exercise. It gives you such awareness and inner peace.
I think so. I think it's such a great exercise to do, and it's something that we can give to ourselves. We're always talking about, give something to yourself. It's so important when we give to ourselves. And then we think, well, what can we give? And then we think, well, I can't afford to give anything to myself. And if I cook something nice, I'm just going to get fat. Or, I can't afford to buy any new clothes. Or what I'm supposed to give myself? Well, a gentle mental massage is something that you can give to yourself. It doesn't cost you a thing. It doesn't take that long. It takes as long as you want it to. You can do it for 10 minutes or you can do it for an hour. So, that's something that we all can give to ourselves and should give to ourselves from time to time. If not, every day.
Susan says, I must tell you, my brother Gordon came through his hip operation with flying colors, and although he is in extreme pain, he sounds like his old self on the phone. I'm grateful for the help I know he has been given.
Well, we shall send him healing. Absolutely. We don't like that extreme pain thing. He needs to speak to his doctor. Nobody needs to be in extreme pain anymore. Having said that, having once got totally hooked on Vicodin, I can't believe that I just came out with that. I'm thinking, what was it? And there it was. Having totally gotten hooked on Vicodin, I would advise people to be really careful with pain pills, because when you're in extreme pain, it's so easy to think to yourself, I'll just take one more of those. One day maybe I'll tell you the story of how I got hooked on Vicodin, and how I, after being hooked on Vicodin for well over a year, trying desperately to, and I'm a very strong person, trying desperately to get off of Vicodin and not being able to do without that last half a pill. I'd wake up in the night sort of with things crawling all over me. I mean, I was seriously hooked on this stuff. And how did I get off of it? It was one of the worst times, I think, in my life, because I'm not a person who is addicted to anything, really.
Let's see. Wanda says, you have written so many books. I have often thought of writing a book, but it seems that's such a big task.
Well, uh, people write little books. I started writing children's books. I know you've never seen them. Nobody's ever seen them because I've never published them. And I have these things, these space where I think to myself, I've got to get it finished, because I wrote the books for my grandson, and I've read him the stories and he loves them. But actually getting them published is the sort of that next stage. It is as big a task as you want it to be, or as small a task as you want it to be. But I think that the secret to anyone writing a book is you've got to write about something that is there's something you really love or very meaningful to you. It's got to be something that is either a truth or fiction based on truth and imagination. The storybooks that I'm writing for my grandson are totally based on fiction, but they are inspired by magic. That's all I'm saying about that for now. Chris, keep going.
Rhonda says, green makes me feel good and peaceful. Melody says, gray is everywhere and it makes me upset.
Well, yeah, I would think. What do you mean grey is everywhere? Uh, Buy a nice blouse, or I bet if you dig in your closet, you'll find a nice bright blouse somewhere. How you try saying that? You'll find a nice bright beautiful blouse, a beautiful vibrant color. It doesn't have to be everywhere, but if that's all you're seeing, it's so easy to become depressed when there is no color in your life. And color is not just about, whatever the color is. It's about the vibrational level. It's about the energy that it brings to you. It's about the energy that you can feel through it. So you're absorbing it. So dig into your closet, my darling, even if it's only a pair of pink knickers or something. You know, nobody else has to see, but you know you're wearing them, so that inspires you. See what I'm saying?
I
Okay,
think
Chris.
I think what she's saying, Rosemary, is if you look at decorating books that are out there and schematics that you're seeing on all kinds of social media, it seems as though variations of gray as colors for your bedroom walls or your kitchen walls or whatever.
Not in my world. Not in my life. So stop looking at those grey things and start and look. Go. What time of year is the time of year you feel the most inspired or the most, just love it? Are you a winter person? You know, those white cap mountains and the sort of the not really white, are they? Some of them are off white with the, and it's Christmas time, so you've got the reds and the greens and the Christmas trees, the deep greens and so on. You've got all of that stuff. Or in the autumn, you've got, those fantastic, beautiful golds and greens and so on. I mean, which autumn, which season inspires you? Which season makes you feel the best in your own self? And work from that color palette. What season are you drawn to the most? And use that as your color palette. Stop going for the grays. We don't like grays. Chris.
All right, I'm going through, gosh, dozens of emails in the chats where they're all basically saying, Rosemary, yes, they would like you to do a webinar about this subject. Some want
Oh,
a
oh,
tour of your home so that they can see the colors you have.
oh dear.
Some people are saying, I've just moved into a new place and I would like to design it. Some are sharing the colors that they currently have in their home. Um,
You see, this
so
is what we did. This is what you did, Chris. 1 minute we've got nothing, and the next minute we're overloaded with all of these things. So, if you would like to attend a webinar like that, would you email us, Chris Kris at rosemaryaltea.com, and just tell us what you would like to see us doing for a workshop of some kind or another, and we'll see if we can make it happen.
all right, so we're right at noon,
Do
Rosemary.
does this also mean, Chris, you're gonna look at me after this show and you're gonna say, "I told you so"?
No, I'm gonna say, when are we scheduling it?
Okay, all right. Well, all right. It did go really, really fast, didn't it? As always, don't these shows go fast? They really do. But anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, all of you, for joining us. We've loved having you. We've really loved it. I'd like to say thank you to Chris, because she do a great job. Maybe you'd like to email her and tell her what a great job she does, because she really, really does. And of course, last but by no means least, we'd like to say thank you to Gregor, because he's always here and always inspiring and always helping. Which reminds me, I've got to go back to my editing and my new book, working on the new book at some point today. Anyway, until I see you all again, which may be later today, you never know, or it may be tomorrow, because when we're going to be doing an off the cuff. Uh, Next Thursday, we have the Spirit World Seesaw, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next Saturday will be Easter Saturday. We will not be having a story time. Chris is going off somewhere, and I've got my daughter and grandson coming, so we're taking a break next Saturday, but we will be back definitely the Saturday afterwards for our story time. So until I see you again, watch for our off the cuff. Just watch for it as we'll pop up. You never know where we're going to pop up. Watch for us popping up. We might have a conversation about, what, Chris? What do we say we talk about in a conversation? Maybe we'll talk about how come I got hooked on Vicodin. You never thought you'd hear me say that, did you? Anybody? But only for a year, and I got off it. I was determined. So anyway, we might talk about that, or we might just talk about cooking, or we do have cracking up coming up with my two friends Kay and Kay. So we'll be cracking up potentially next Friday, which will be Good Friday.
I think I've heard, Rosemary, a change that it might not be till the last Friday in April.
Oh, Well, there you are then. Okay. Well, we
It's
might
not
do some.
set yet, so I didn't want to say anything.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll definitely be doing a cracking up this month. And maybe, we'll be doing some off the cuffs and some other stuff uh, this coming week. So until I see you all again, thank you once again. Until I see you all again, please, everybody, have a very blessed rest of the day and have a very, very blessed weekend, everybody.